Shut up and sit down.
All right, welcome back to the TechRichGames podcast. This time around, I will be joined by a very special guest. The first time he is appearing on this podcast, our Xbox expert, as you will, my good friend Chris, aka WFSU Slayer. What's going on, Chris? How you doing?
Not too much, man. Gamer tags changed though.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good. It's back to SpetsnazSlayer on Xbox.
SpetsnazSlayer, okay. Need to stop changing that shit. It's hard to keep up.
Hey, man, that's my original tag on Xbox for going on 13 years now. The WFSU thing was clan things back in the day, back in 2012, 2010 maybe.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That's when I was playing with you on Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Which is why that's the gamer tag I remembered. But anyway, yeah, so Chris is here to talk about all things Xbox after today's Microsoft Xbox Showcase. They announced a whole bunch of stuff that we could look forward to this year for the Xbox Series X launch and some future titles. Yep. So to kick it off, we're going to be talking about the piece de resistance was basically what they opened the show with, none other than Halo Infinite gameplay. So, Chris, what was your thoughts on the Halo Infinite?
Very excited. 343 has a lot of expectations to fill because of how Halo 5 was a major letdown story-wise. It's still highly played multiplayer-wise, but they have a lot of ground to cover. Looks like they're moving in the right direction. Graphically, it looks gorgeous.
Yes, definitely.
I can't wait to get my hands on it. I think there's supposed to be multiplayer beta in the next month or two.
Yeah, they did say that multiplayer was coming out soon to show. Yeah. They might show it off their next showcase.
Yeah.
And then maybe probably after that showcase, they'll be like, beta available now, and everyone can play it.
There was speculation that they might do like betas available now, but they didn't. So my
that was
dreams were slightly crushed.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do it.
Their big thing has been 343 kind of nailed multiplayer with 5. The big thing was campaign, and now they're like, we're going to show you a campaign.
Yeah, and obviously for someone like myself who got into the Halo train very late, starting with I think Reach was kind of like the first one that I kind of played. So
still a good one.
Yeah, and I mean I didn't really delve into the campaign. I really enjoy multiplayer, especially on it. But I'm also the same way with Call of Duty, and I'm a huge Call of Duty fan.
Yeah.
The last campaign I played was MW2, so it's been several years.
Modern Warfare 2019 was good. Short, but I mean that's how they Call of Duty campaign.
Wait, Modern Warfare.
Yeah, Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Oof. I mean, this can't be the TechRichGame podcast without talking shit on Modern Warfare at least once.
I will dog Modern Warfare. Like I was watching like season 5 content. I was like,
oh my god, there's so much going on with that game. But we're not here to talk about Call of Duty. We're here to talk about Xbox. And so Halo Infinite definitely looked really good. If this is definitely one thing that if I would be getting an Xbox, which I won't be getting one at launch, I'll be getting one probably later on. However, Halo Infinite was announced to be coming out also on Xbox One.
It is a launch title.
Yeah, so
for the Series X.
Maybe I might pick up an Xbox One super cheap now that the Xbox Series X is going to be coming out, and maybe I'll just play that, get Game Pass, because it's going to be available on Game Pass along with everything else that was announced.
Everything that was announced will be available on Game Pass.
Yeah, so I mean, I can get Game Pass and be able to play Halo and anything else that's on Windows 10 or on the Xbox One while waiting to get the Xbox Series X later on.
They had already talked about it, the good thing for people who may not know is you buy it on Xbox One, and then say next year you get Halo Infinite on Xbox One. A couple months down the line, get a Series X, you will get the Series X version for free.
Yeah,
it is a free upgrade, and you will get the Series X version of it. So there's no having to pay extra.
Yes, yeah. So that's really cool that Xbox is going to be doing that for their player base.
Yeah.
But getting back into the gameplay, this one obviously looks like it's taking Halo into more of a quote-unquote open world kind of
Yes, it
vibe.
is the biggest open world that they've ever done. for any of the Halo games. They said map size, it's bigger than 4 and 5's maps put together, twice the size.
Okay.
It is large. It's truly a sandbox where you can do all the... They show a map of how big it is. So
that'll be interesting to see how they incorporate that into the campaign for the first time.
Yeah. So
with them introducing bigger maps for the campaign, do you think we might be seeing a battle royale for Halo?
No. Frank O'Connor, who's been very open about that, there will not be a battle royale for Halo. You've been always able to do a battle royale in Halo.
Yeah, no, they had kind of like a quote-unquote like a ground war sort of
they had situation. I mean, like Halo 3, they had... If you could just do big team battle custom games, and you can set up a battle royale thing where there's no shrinking map, but you can easily do it where there's one life, random. You can spawn with a weapon or not. It's always been there, but the battle royale genre is dying, and they said they're not, but I'm very hoping they don't announce a battle royale because it just wouldn't work for Halo's.
You think that it might be something that maybe some other development team, maybe not 343, might work on, like that might come out, a little after
maybe
Halo Infinite?
Or it means since Halo Infinite is also launching on PC, they did say that there will be crossplay with Master Chief Collection was the first one to do crossplay with the consoles.
Yeah.
Maybe PC will be able to do some mods and eventually file share to the consoles to do it. If it's like a fan made thing, okay, but I don't think the devs should be working on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it might be interesting for maybe another studio, if anything.
Yeah.
All right, so the second game that Xbox showed off was a State of Decay game, State of Decay 3.
Yep.
So have you played the State of Decay games?
Oh yeah, I've played them all.
Okay.
I kind of called it whenever we were showing it. As soon as I saw her whittling the arrow for the crossbow, I was like, "This is State of Decay 3." And then whenever they zoom in on a zombified deer, I was like, "Yeah, that's State of Decay 3."
I thought it was so cool how she's looking in the scope and it's a dead wolf body carcass on the ground. And is being eaten by something, and then it zooms up, and then it's a zombified deer, which is just so ironic. I thought it was hilarious. But it looked really cool.
State of Decay 2 is a fun game. Definitely check it out if you have Xbox, or it's on PC as well. I'm hoping they do some improvements graphically. State of Decay looks good, but I do think they need to ramp up the graphics a little bit more. It's cartoony at times.
I would agree with that. I mean, I haven't personally played it, but I've watched people play it, and for me personally, the zombie thing has kind of slowed down in my interest of games to play, but it's still a huge market for a lot of people. It's just a fun genre of games, but I mean, they're coming out with a third one. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure this game's just gonna do just as good as the other ones, if not better, if they've obviously improved on a lot of the other things.
I'm a little skeptical about it, not in a bad way, but just want to. I'm gonna buy it regardless. I mean, if you have game, I have Game Pass.
Yeah, it's also on Game Pass, so you can get it regardless.
But I want to see how they're doing it. Maybe if they change up the camera for gameplay, move it a little bit more over the shoulder style instead of
more current day Tomb Raider, a little
kind
closer
of a little
in
bit closer in, a little bit more gritty. Maybe that third person style, kind of with Ghost Recon games, or kind of like that. The ADSing is over the shoulder a lot more than maybe that's how the gameplay is.
Yeah, instead of kind of more over the top, kind of almost Fortnite-esque.
Yeah, add a little bit more realism to it because some of those times these fetch quests are a big thing about the second one I don't like.
Yeah, fetch quests aren't the most entertaining side missions, in my opinion. But moving on to the next game, a staple in the Xbox family is Forza Motorsport. So, I mean, I'm not a big racing fan. I also prefer Forza Horizon just because it's off-road and stuff. But, I mean, if you're a racing fan and a fan of Forza, more Forza coming for you with ray tracing, 60 frames.
I mean,
it looks good. I mean, Forza always looked good.
I gotta say, this is probably the best Forza's ever looked. They have the announcement trailer shows it looks like a studio, but it's all in-game. It's all in-game.
Yeah, all in-game footage, and it looks like you're watching an actual Forza race, like IRL. It's insane.
Forza, like once again, they're showing that they're the dominant racing game.
Definitely. So next game, I saw the Rare logo. I got really excited.
Same.
I'm a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan. I was like, please tell me Banjo-Kazooie's coming back. No. But no, it's another game from Rare. It's called Everwild. Now, I will say, game looks really good. I like the art style. It looks very Breath of the Wild-esque, kind of watercolor looking. And I thought it looked cool. It was very, like, shamanistic, I guess, kind of like...
it looks...
atmosphere. Like, you've got, like, magical powers, but very mystical, but, like, nature.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about how gameplay is actually going to look. This will look like an in-game cinematic, using the engine, but... it's a Rare game, so I am going to play it. But it's one of those...
And it's on Game Pass, so it is. If you have Game Pass, you can always play it.
There are a couple of games that they showed off that I literally sat there and was like, why did y'all show this off at this event?
This is... Yeah, because this event, you really want to show off, like, your major hitters. Like, we can discuss it later, you know, talking about, like, our I guess, like, our review of it. But I wanted to see more... heavy hitters, very ingrained Xbox family games.
Yeah.
And for me, they just didn't really do that.
Yeah.
But they did just acquire Rare not that long ago, so I'm sure they wanted to have
about 3 or 4 years now.
Their Xbox first party studios really working on something for the launch or in that release window. I mean, regardless though, it's a beautiful looking game.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more about it, and hope it can really impress us. Now, there was another game announced after that, which was Tell Me Why, which is from Don't Nod Entertainment, the creators of Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Which you can just tell by looking at it who the creators are.
Yeah,
it looks
I couldn't
very
put the
Life
name
is
of it,
Strange-esque.
and I was like, this looks like... And then I was like, Life is Strange. Yeah. Like,
the biggest problem I have with this game is graphically, like, it's you know, it's that point and click, quote unquote, like adventure game where, you know, your choices matter and stuff, and you know, there's really not much. Well, I mean, obviously we haven't seen the game, but usually these games don't really have much action going on, so I would have liked to have seen more.
I wish I could have seen more character detail.
Yeah, like facial and mouth movement and stuff. I needed it to match the voices, and it looked really bad. Like, the voices and the mouths did not match up at all.
Like, I would say about a lot of the games coming out right now are like a few months away from them to have work on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this one comes out a month.
Yeah, it comes out
August
in August
27th.
So I don't really know. But then again, Life is Strange itself, from, like, I've actually never played them.
Mm-hmm.
But just, like, looking at gameplay and stuff like that, it doesn't look like a graphically amazing game.
I mean, they look good.
They look good.
It's just
this looks like it needs a couple more.
There's a lot of, like, fine tuning that it needs to really, because, like, when I play these games, I want it to be almost like a movie, like a very, very engaging kind of experience. And I don't know, maybe it's because I have an animator background that I went to school for, but those lip syncing things just really,
when you're in that industry, that can, like, pick apart stuff. Like, like, I have friends on Xbox that are, like, sound engineers. Yeah. And they will pick apart the smallest stuff. So, I mean, it happens. When you get into that field, you start noticing more things than what other people don't.
Yeah. But, I mean, Life is Strange, big game series, very popular, very well regarded overall, too. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind this game is going to be good. Yeah. It's just, I wish graphically it'd be a little better.
Same.
To really
And just looking at the still shot of her, like, her face looks very plain.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, hopefully, you know, this trailer was maybe made, you know, a few months ago or something, and now that, you know, even though it's a month away, they're still fine cleaning up a few small things. So,
and that's actually surprised a lot of people are realizing that some gameplay trailers are recorded a month, maybe month and a half in advance.
Yeah, true. So, But excited to see more about it. It seems like it's going to be really good. It's going to be set over 3 chapters, which the first one is going to be releasing in August, and the second 2 are going to be releasing later, just kind of similar to how Life is Strange and those games kind of have been recently. And it will explore social themes, including trans experiences. So very interesting story, and looking forward to it. Next is something we'll briefly talk about. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is enhanced, coming to Xbox One, is going to be graphically enhanced for the new console.
Yeah,
and it will be provided through smart delivery if you already own it on the Xbox One.
Yeah, they showed it a side-by-side, so the new version is going to be running at 4K 60 FPS. Yep. And you can actually tell the visual difference.
Actually, I think 120 FPS if I
apparently 120 FPS will not be available at launch for a lot of stuff, but it will be coming as a free update.
Gotcha. Well, cool deal. Yeah, I loved Ori and the Blind Forest. I have not been able to play the Will of the Wisps yet. So eventually, when I do get my hands on an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X,
if you are,
I will eventually play it, unless it comes to Switch first, because the first one did come to Switch later, but I originally played on Xbox One.
I don't know if they will. I think that deal kind of ended, but
possibly.
Hopefully. Yeah. If you are a fan of side scrollers, and you have Game Pass, you have Game Pass on PC, check it out. It's fun
or like Metroidvania style games.
Yeah,
it's really good,
very
really
gorgeous.
good. Next one, which kind of began another sort of thing where they were talking about. I mean, I get it. They own the studio now, but I don't really want to hear about DLC announcements. And this was kind of one that they talked about, which was the Outer Worlds Peril on Gorgon DLC, which is the Obsidian's sci-fi RPG that came out last year to kind of combat their Fallout rivals.
Yeah,
considering they were originally on there.
The one thing I heard about this expansion, apparently it's supposed to be almost the size of the main game.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is, but that was what I read on some blog posts. If that's true, then awesome. But I will add this: if some people, this is not exclusive to Xbox. Obsidian. Outer Worlds came out on all platforms.
Yeah, and it's also coming out September 9th, so it's only 2 months away, not too far, and it's going to be a noir flavored adventure take on the game with new quest, weapons, armor, perks, and flaws. Mm-hmm. So Xbox Game Pass subscribers can get the Outer World expansions or the full expansion pass, which contains at least one or more adventure, for a 10% discount.
Yep.
So save a little bit of money if you are on the Game Pass. Nonetheless, I mean, if you played Outer Worlds, you're gonna probably end up getting this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it comes out right before the launch, so you do have time to really play it before the launch of the system. So it gives you a little something to do while waiting, which is always good, because that's something that we're kind of lacking right now.
Yeah.
Is stuff to do in the meantime. We're gonna go back to the one that they announced afterwards, but I really wanted to talk about this one, which obviously we all know Obsidian worked on the Fallout games and Elder Scrolls and stuff like that, which before they broke apart with Bethesda, they're making their own games, and I really feel like they're just trying to stick it to Bethesda, because the Outer Worlds was very Fallout-esque, and now they come out with Avowed. They revealed Avowed, which is a first-person RPG in the fantasy world set in Eoria. Now, it was actually a setting for the Pillars of Eternity games. I did not realize that. But it's very Elder Scrolls-esque.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh man, they're really sticking it to
really
it. They're going to hit them on all angles.
Yeah, I was like, this looks really good. Even, while it really wasn't gameplay, it was just an announcement trailer, but it still looked good. So. Yeah, so
I'm looking forward to that, and to see how they're going to keep sticking it to Bethesda.
Yep. Now, Grounded.
Grounded was the next one, also from Obsidian as well. So it was three things that was announced by Obsidian.
Now, Grounded is...
This one's very different.
Now, this is an Xbox and PC exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
It looks... I think, for people who played Ark, think of Ark-esque style, but you are children shrunk down in a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids situation.
Yeah, I was going to say
That's the best, and it's a survival game. And the best thing is, the trailer was quite hysterical. There was pretty much, are you ready for the biggest game of the year? Well, you got to wait, because Cyberpunk 2077 is later this year. But Grounded looks really good.
But they're like, but get ready for the smallest game of the year.
Yeah,
it was very cool. It was a cute reveal, but nonetheless, it looks really fun. It kind of reminds me of like Toy Soldiers, if you remember that from like N64 days and stuff. Very small scaled characters.
Same
in
survival
like
game.
A garden.
Yeah.
That you see like a full scale house in the background. It's like Toy Story meets army soldiers
so like
meets Ark or Rust.
Yeah. So you build up houses, you fortify stuff, you create weapons.
Yeah, you fight spiders and bugs.
Spiders, and you go down like ant colonies and stuff like that. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I like to see more about it. Seems interesting. We're gonna skip that one.
Yeah, there's one game that got announced that was very Dusk Falls. I really want to talk about it too much because it's former lead designs from Quantic Dreams. It doesn't look that good. It looks like a mobile game, honestly. It looks like one of those you pay $5 for every episode on a mobile game.
That's fair.
Now this.
You want to talk about Sinu's or
Setsuna Saga? Yeah, that. They didn't really show off much. It does look good. It's going to be in Iceland. If you played the first one, it was critically acclaimed. I'm really excited about that.
I haven't played it, but I'm sure the people who played it are looking forward to more.
I think the next big one was Psychonauts 2.
From the historical game developer Tim Schafer from Double Fine. And this has been a long-awaited sequel. I mean, it was the company's very first game. And they made several games after that. They made Day of the Tentacle, one of my favorites, Grim Fandango. And, after several years, 20 years, they finally are making a sequel to Psychonauts.
They did one for the PlayStation, but it was a VR game. But as maybe some people don't know, that Double Fine was purchased by Microsoft, I want to say 2-3 years ago, maybe. So this is an Xbox PC exclusive.
Also, how about Jack Black?
Yeah, him singing. I thought, I was like, well, Tim Schafer and Jack Black kind of know each other really well. So then actually seeing it, I was like, okay. And I was like, when they said Tim Schafer and then Jack Black, I was like, oh, this has to be Psychonauts. And then, yep.
Sure enough.
Looks good.
So, after years of waiting, it's finally here.
Very 70s acid trip.
Yeah. Again, another game DLC was announced after Psychonauts. It's Destiny 2 Beyond Light. I guess it wasn't really announced. It was more just kind of shown off.
Well, the big announcement was that it's coming to Game Pass, and all the expansions are available on Game Pass for free.
Correct. At no extra cost. So that's always good for those who have Destiny 2 already and have the Game Pass. That goes live in November, so I guess around kind of the launch of the system. They
officially confirmed. Someone could probably correct me. Maybe Kate can edit it a little bit later, but I think Bungie did say that Destiny 2 will now be the hub world for all future expansions.
I want to say that's correct. Ever since they broke away from Activision, I'm pretty sure they've already went on record saying that they didn't want to sequelize Destiny, which it irritates me now so much that we're going to be stuck playing Destiny 2 and not just a clean Destiny title.
So Destiny 2 is the permanent sandbox.
Exactly. So here on out, I guess, I don't see them making anything else.
All they really have to do is just keep doing DLC, keep doing big expansions, because I haven't really played Destiny that much as I want to, but the Destiny community has been loving the new expansions, and they keep talking about how great they are.
I've heard a lot of people going back and playing Destiny. I got really burnt out after the first one. I played it religiously, and it was almost unhealthy how much I played Destiny 1.
And then you go back and play Destiny 1, and you're just like, it's not that fun anymore.
So, yeah, I probably won't be going back to Destiny 2 for quite some time, maybe ever, to be honest. But, obviously, I don't have anything against Destiny. It's a great game.
Yeah.
And I want to see it, thrive. I think it's still a great series, great developer. And
what made me want to jump back on was when they split from Activision.
True.
That was the big thing. And then when they were talking about Destiny 2 is going to be free for everybody, I was like, okay, I have to move in the right direction.
Yep. So if you do have Xbox Game Pass and have not yet played Destiny 2 or owned it, you will be able to in September. So that way you can start getting ready for when it launches on Xbox Series X. Do you know anything about Stalker?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a very big surprise for me whenever the opening trailer showed Chernobyl. And when I first saw it, I was like...
I thought it was another Metro game.
Okay, so, yeah.
Which it is very Metro-esque, obviously.
Well, you're right, because it is very Metro, because it's Metro is a spin-off of the series.
Oh. Today I learned.
They had former devs do the Metro series. But Stalker is honestly, what some people would consider the original first-person post-apocalyptic shooter.
Okay.
It came out on PC, had a bunch of expectations. I think the first one came out in 2004. I can't remember.
Damn.
Stalker 2 got announced like in 2015, and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to show off gameplay in 2018, and nothing ever happened. So finally Stalker is coming to both PlayStation and Xbox. It'll launch first on Xbox and PC, it seems.
Yeah, so there were a lot of games that Microsoft did say were going to be launch exclusives.
Which I think we could talk about later on in Microsoft's horrible nomenclature.
Sure.
Stalker looks good. If you like the Metro series, you will like this even more, because this one will probably be, like the other ones, open world.
Yeah, I'm sure whenever this one hits PlayStation 5, Cooper's going to be all over this because he loves the Metro games. So I don't know if he's watched it, but I'm going to at least mention it to him. Yeah, he loves the Metro games. So I think it was actually like, I think when we did our games of the decades, it was like in his top 3 or something. I don't remember.
I would put that series in there as well.
Yeah. But next was Warhammer 40K Dark Tide.
Yes, and
which I don't know much about it. I mean, I know it's based off of the board game that
I
people
can
play.
break this one down very easily for people.
But I've never played the games.
This one's being done by Fat Shark again, and this is the Vermintide developers. So if you've ever played Vermintide 1 and 2, it's those guys. But if you haven't, Vermintide 1, I've only played a little bit of the second one. I need to play more of it, but they are very Left 4 Dead-esque.
Okay.
The first one is you've got tons of rats you're fighting against. You have your bloaters. You have your smokers. You have your you got your hunters. You got all the different types of creatures in 40K form. But those were set back in like the 1300s or whatever, like very old, like very old timey.
Yeah, more like
this is set
Knights
in like the
41st
millennium. So this is like futuristic Warhammer. It looks like it is a four-player first-person shooter again. So I'm excited about that, because if it's first-person shooter, I'm all over it.
Yeah. I know it's a very popular series, a very popular game series in general for video game and tabletop.
Yeah.
Because I play a lot of Magic, and at one of the stores that I used to frequently play at, they would also have Warhammer playing on the side of us.
The Warhammer base is strong.
Yeah, they really get into the game. But yeah, cool. So moving on, this was a weird one to really announce.
Yeah, so
I mean, Tetris is great, but weird. It's just not something I feel like you show off at a showcase.
So apparently the big thing is Tetra Effect is already out on PlayStation. Like I think Tetra Effect, they have a VR version, and
okay.
But apparently this new mode, from what somebody was saying, is that if you're playing split screen, or like you play up to like the 4 people and like you connect, and then eventually everything connects. I agree with them. I don't know why they showed this off. This is the second game.
Yeah,
I agree.
So
like,
weird.
Why did they show this off?
Yeah. Oh well. Moving on. Tetris, great video game series in general, fun game, but it releases holiday 2020 on Xbox, so look forward to that if you're looking for your Tetris itch. So the next game was called The Gunk, which is a Steam World, a game from the creators of Steam World, which, if I remember, that's more so usually it was like on the Nintendo 3DS and stuff, was Steam World Dig and stuff like that. So there is their first time, I think, making it onto an actual 3D console.
It looks like it, and I've never played the SteamWorld games. This is their first game that.
Yeah, I know it's got a pretty good following.
Yeah,
people really enjoy that series. So
never heard anything bad about it.
Yeah, neither me. I think the only one was the. I think they've had like 4 titles so far, and I think one of them was like a card-based one, and people were like, "Why?"
Yeah.
But SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld Dig 2, SteamWorld Heist were the ones that I remember people were like really raving about, and there was that one that was, I don't know. I think there might have been an RPG one too.
Yeah, I'm about 100% honest with you. I need to rewatch the Gunk thing. It looks good.
My stream was kind of acting up whenever this one was being shown, so I didn't really get a chance to see this one and the next one.
I had to switch 3 different streams because I was doing Xbox Ons, and then I was doing another Halo streamer that had it up, but IGN was the only one that actually had a stable stream connection for me.
See, and I was watching IGN's, and for me it was unstable, but I was also watching it on my phone over data, Xbox, so that could be why, you know, obviously.
When I got to the Gunk, it was the finally time where it was actually kind of smoothed out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now the next one, the Medium, that looks really good.
Yeah, this was also another one I did not get a chance to watch because of my stream not cooperating.
So what it seems like they're doing, it's going to render. You have 2 different realities, as what they were saying, and they render at the same time, and you can switch back and forth.
Oh,
and I think at some parts, both realities actually split the screen, and so what you're doing in one, it's acting in the same way because, you can't get past this area in this reality, you have to switch the other reality to get past. Other games have done that, but they haven't had them running at the exact same time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's only something you can do with this console's engine and PC. You could do anything on PC, but yeah, it seems very cool.
It's by the team,
very interesting,
Bloober Team, which
Bloober Team,
which I did like the name of that. It looks good. It is a.
What else did they do? It says it's the next project from that team, so I wonder.
I'm going to look up.
But it's a very cool concept. That seems really interesting.
Let's see. They did the Blair Witch game.
Oh,
and they also did Layers of Fear. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's definitely gonna have some very horror vibes.
Yes, because Layers of Fear is
the
phenomenal
medium obviously
game.
Makes sense. A medium usually is dealing with spirits and whatnot, so
I'll say Layers of Fear was probably one of the creepiest horror games I've played in a long time. And Resident Evil 7 as well, but this, because you felt so defenseless at times. So that
makes sense.
And Blair Witch, I've heard nothing but great things.
Yeah, I watched the Game Grumps play Blair Witch. They're always fun to watch. So this was an interesting one.
Phantasy
Star Online 2. Definitely not my forte, but it is interesting to see some Japanese RPG games on the Xbox.
So apparently Phantasy Star Online 2 has been out in Japan for a good while now. That's why if you look at gameplay, you look kind of like, this looks kind of dated. Well, Microsoft last year announced that they got with them to bring it over. It's not just coming to Xbox, it is also going to come to PlayStation and PC. It will launch on Xbox first. Whatever Microsoft did, they did something. They said the right things, or maybe they just... what someone told me was Microsoft was literally like, what do you need? Because apparently no one else wanted to work with them what they needed for bringing the game to the US and other parts of the world.
Yeah, it's definitely a genre that Xbox ecosystem is definitely lacking, is those Japanese RPGs, which is, I think, a lot of reasons why people tend to go towards PlayStation.
Speaking of Japan, I just thought about this.
Not me personally, but
some
people.
I know we're going to talk about something. We just thought about Japanese RPGs. Dragon Quest Echoes got announced for Xbox today.
Oh, okay.
Comes out December 4th.
That must have been something after the
stream. It was a pre-show. It was a pre-show.
I didn't get a chance to watch
Jeff
the pre-show.
Keeling was talking about it. You'd mentioned Game Grumps' Ego Raptor was on there. He was talking about Halo. Then they showed off Dragon Quest Echoes, some elusive age. I think it's number 11. Could be wrong, but Dragon Quest Echoes.
Who knows?
With Trunks on the cover, because it's all using the Toriyama art style. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm excited because I've never played a Dragon Quest game.
Yeah, I hear nothing but good things about them, but I haven't really delved into them myself.
I personally would have hoped they had announced like Blue Dragon 2. Because Blue Dragon back in the day was super fun.
Yeah, and it has some history with the Xbox fan base.
It does.
So that would have correlated nicely. But moving on is a game called Crossfire X from Smilegate Entertainment.
Yeah.
Previously PC-only series, comes to Xbox in 2020.
Yeah. It's also developed by
Remedy.
Remedy is doing the story mode.
Oh.
So it's their I think it was Smilegate Entertainment did the actual game. It was a multiplayer game, but now they're bringing it to console with the single player mode made by Remedy. And
yeah,
Remedy,
that's definitely a good studio to make a campaign.
What I love about this is it says Control and Alan Wake. Nowhere does it mention Quantum Break. And
I like Quantum Break.
I like Quantum Break too.
I don't know why I got such a bad rap.
It got some bad rap. It was a great game.
I thought it was cool.
I think it's gonna sound weird. It was ahead of its time, but it wasn't, because they threw the story. They threw like, here's a TV show. I think that would have wowed people maybe back in 2009, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. I thought it was a great game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
But Control is really good too.
Yeah, that's another game that I think Cooper had played. He really enjoyed it. I haven't personally played it, but I know a lot of people have been raving about it. So it's one of those games that eventually I need to get around to playing. But with the way games come out, man, it's so hard to go back and really play a lot of these games that you've passed over or you bought and then haven't even opened the case or downloaded and haven't installed.
My buddy Marcus has 3 PS4 games he has yet to open, 2 Switch games, and 2 Xbox games he has yet to even play. And I was like, what games? He was like, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn Collection, the Complete Edition, and Detroit Become Human. I was like, dude, you gotta play those.
Detroit was pretty good, but the first two
Spider-Man
are some of the best games.
To play them.
Oh my gosh.
And he also has
Detroit's probably gonna, that's gonna be a few hours, but like Spider-Man and Horizon's gonna take a while for him to play through for sure.
I'm really excited about Horizon 2.
Same.
While we'll talk more about it after this, but like
let's stick on the Xbox,
stick on this and then we'll continue.
It's like sacrilege.
Yes. Fable.
Yes, this was huge.
Whenever that the very end, they had one more thing, and then they showed it, and they zoomed in the sword. I recognized the logo at the end of the hilt, but the end of the sword. I'm an idiot for saying that one, but recognized the logo, and I was like, Fable. I was like, that is the Fable logo, and then yeah, and
the trailer was definitely very Fable-esque with the humor and
the fairy is in there, like, and then she gets eaten by a frog, and it's like not all stories have a good ending.
Yeah. So it was very nice.
And this one's being done by the guys who do Forza Horizon.
Yeah, Playground Games.
Which I'm really excited about.
So if it looks anything as good as Forza Horizon, we're in for a treat.
There's a rumor that they are using the same Forza engine.
I am totally okay with that.
Which I'm completely okay with. There's just no reason for them to just... Because with video game engines, you can always tweak them to look like something else. Yeah. I mean, the Unreal Engine.
Yeah, because I still want Fable to look like Fable. Like, definitely upgrade it, but still have that very cartoony kind of feel to it.
What I do want them to do is, while all the Fable games are backwards compatible, Fable Anniversary that they did for 360, I actually started playing it in because I hadn't played Fable 1 since like 2006. It's been that long. Started back up. The Fable Anniversary still looks relatively good for its age. I know it was an Anniversary edition.
I think it's something just about that art style, though. Is just it's just timeless. It's because if you take a game to make it look as good as possible, like let's say a game such as like Madden and NBA 2K, they've been around forever, and they always try to stay updated and make it look as realistic as possible. As time goes on, those games look like trash.
Yes.
So like. When a console launches, so like I'm sure like Madden 21 and 2K21 are going to look amazing, but by the time the Xbox Series, whatever the hell, ZXY and then PlayStation 6 comes out,
like
it's going to look like trash.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
That's just how sports games and games that come out every year. There are not all of them.
Yeah,
not all games that do that. If they're an annual release, insert the Forza series, like they always look good.
Yeah. It also depends on how often you update your engine too.
I really want them to do a Fable anniversary collection with 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I think that'd be I think that'd be really good. Now, do you think the Fable name is the actual name, or do you think it's just like an untitled Fable game?
I think they might just call it Fable.
I think so too.
Because calling it Fable 4, Fable 3 left a very bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Mm-hmm. Fable 1 is phenomenal. Fable 2 is like a lot of people consider it like the fan favorite. There were things about Fable 2 I loved. The thing I liked about Fable 3 the most was the co-op.
Yeah.
But I think they should just call it Fable.
Oh yeah, actually reading an article now, it says that it is called simply Fable. It's a new beginning for the beloved fantasy RPG series. So, yep, just Fable, and it looks like it's going to be a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a
not a retelling,
not a retell, like a reintroduction,
a fresh start.
Yeah, there you go. Kind of like the not God of War, because God of War was still a sequel, but they kind of just dropped it, the numbers or subtitles, and just called it God of War. So it's kind of like a fresh start, but still, I guess it might still follow some of the, the world that was previously built up on in the previous games. But that is it. So that was a lot of games that they announced. Some good stuff, some mediocre stuff.
They're like I think out of all they announced 22 games.
22, yeah. I think
10 are launch exclusives. 5 are actual Xbox and PC exclusives. Now we can talk about some other things. Microsoft has.
Let's just get this one out of the way.
Microsoft has bad nomenclature.
Yes,
they do not know, and like they've been told time after time, and asked, what does Xbox launch exclusive mean? And it could mean it launches first on Xbox and comes to PC later. It could mean it launches first on Xbox and comes to other platforms later. They just need to stop saying that once and for all. They should need to stick with Xbox and PC exclusive. Just say that and end it.
Yeah, for people even very ingrained in gaming, it's still hard to follow. And then also, just think about like casual people who really don't understand the nomenclature will be like, oh, I heard, this was shown off at the Xbox showcase, so it must be only coming to Xbox, so I'm going to get an Xbox. Which, I'm assuming that's something that they're misleading to try to sell systems. Yes. It's just a sales tactic as well, and I'm sure it's just worded that way to get people to kind of lean towards that system compared to its competitors. Because, PlayStation did the same thing.
So, like, the one thing... Yeah, so the one thing I will say is a plus for Xbox is, for the longest time, like, I've been with Xbox going on now, I think, 18 years. I'm 27. I've been with them for a long time. Growing up, I was an Xbox fanboy. Like, I was Xbox elitist because I was like, I didn't want anything to do with PlayStation. 27 now, about to be 28 in a couple months. So I'm like, now at this point, I'm like, look, everybody just play what you want to play. Like, I've grown out of that stage. I will fully admit that this console generation, Sony dominated exclusively. But the one thing I was pointed out was all of Sony games are third-person action-adventure games, and that's what people want. Microsoft has always been known for shooters and first-person shooters and stuff like that. So this is them trying to branch off to do new stuff. And sometimes it's like watching a baby walk for the first time.
They stumble and fall.
They're not gonna stumble.
And then sometimes, they just start walking right away.
Really good. So like the plus side is like depending on who you go with, doesn't matter, you win no matter what. But like
play the games you want to play.
Microsoft's big thing right now is every single one of these games, or if you have Game Pass, which is like $10 for the regular, $15 for the Ultimate, you don't have to pay for any one of these games. You get them for free.
Yeah,
you get them. So that's 20 games.
Really good deal.
So it's just up to you, and then you can even get it on PC, and you'll still be able to play it. So it's just when PlayStation announces an exclusive, it literally says PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah. Exactly. So, obviously, there's going to be an elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. They did not announce the release date.
No.
Or a price point.
Nope. They did not.
How upset are you?
I'm actually not surprised they didn't. So, like I've been telling like people that like right now, Xbox side and PlayStation side, it's literally like two infants fighting over to who's going to announce a date and price first. Microsoft, I liked watching the Unlocked podcast with Ryan McCaffrey. Ryan McCaffrey has always been my favorite person at IGN. Just how down to earth he is, because he can be very critical at Xbox at times, and I agree.
And he's also a fan of the MLB The Show.
Yeah, he's a really good dude. I remember correctly, it was him. He said he pointed out Microsoft can charge whatever they want for this console because they have the money. Because I want to say in 2018, Microsoft cleared a $10 billion that year. They can charge whatever they want. Sony cannot. Sony, in order to make a price point on this, they have to charge. I think they said at minimum $450.
Microsoft as a whole just has a lot more money than Sony does, so they can take a
loss. Microsoft can lose it on the Xbox and make it up for the games, third party stuff, and hardware. So that's literally what it is. They're
especially when most computers run on their OS.
It's Mac or Windows, and then
Sony's got what? Blu-ray players? How many people
TVs,
were using Blu-ray
sound
players
systems,
nowadays?
Exactly, yeah. So, so that's a big thing.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's a very good point. And also, I'm sure because they had gone first with their price point on the Xbox One being more expensive than PlayStation.
$500 for that, $450 for the
PlayStation, and I'm sure this time around they really want Sony to announce it first, so this way they're not on the front foot. You know, they can kind of adjust to however they want. So this time around is very strategic, and then also I'm sure the whole COVID situation also plays in a big part because
apparently Microsoft and Sony recently have stated like a lot of people keep saying that the PS5 is coming out next year. Well, apparently about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Sony was once again like, no, it is coming out this year.
Yeah,
because they said that they are ramping up production of the PS5 by 50%. So they also said they're going to do everything they can to make sure it's only one per household, which I don't know how they're going to accomplish that. That's something they say every year.
Both of us having a history in game retail, we know that's something hard to really enforce.
Yeah, that's hard to enforce. Online can be one thing.
Especially for a certain company.
Yes, certain companies. That's really hard for them to do. There's a lot. Like, if I had to rate this showcase, I'd give it a 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10. I'm really excited to see, and I was watching with me and another friend of mine were watching this together, and he was like surprised he didn't see anything from Bethesda. I wasn't personally, because after the
Gears.
Gears I was going to bring them next, but Bethesda, everything after Fallout 76, I'm surprised they're not showing anything right now. That's probably for the best for them. Now the Coalition,
and it's like, we know the next 3 projects they're working on, and we've already been told that Bethesda's gonna be maybe a year at least before one of their titles comes out.
It's gonna be they're gonna be AFK and videos and stuff. Now the Coalition have specified that they're taking a step back from the Gears franchise for a little bit. After Gears 5 did really well. Gears 5 got really good ratings. It is a very fun game. I kind of like it more than I did Gears 4. It does leave off on a ending to continue the series, but I think it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
For them to take maybe a couple steps back, and because apparently the Coalition's also heading some other new title. We don't know what it is. I will say at the very end, I'm happy they pretty much confirmed Gears Tactics is coming to Xbox, the Series X, because they were showing gameplay and they showed Series X. They showed Gears Tactics, and had a controller layout, so pretty much confirming it's going to finally come to the Xbox.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me with them taking it back from Gears is just their competitive scene. Because I mean, it's huge.
Apparently, they did specify that they're going to. The seasons are going to continue with Gears 5. They're not going to end it, but just as Gears 6. So
it's just I wonder how strong the scene will be. You know, like I wonder how many of them will be like,
2 years from now,
I'm tired of playing it, because you see it a lot. Well, Halo's also a little different because there's no age restriction on it. Like Call of Duty, you have to be 18 in order to play.
Yeah,
Halo's a little different.
Halo doesn't really have that younger. Much blood and stuff like that, but yeah.
You see a lot of Halo pros kind of quit and go play other stuff. A lot of them do jump to Call of Duty once they hit 18.
I want to say T. Martin was one of them, because I remember T. Martin was... I could be wrong. It was somebody... I think it was T. Martin was really big back in Halo 3. Mm-hmm. And then after Halo 3, he picked up COD. And
he streams it now.
He streams
like
COD really heavily, and I've got no issue with them.
Frosty is a Call of Duty pro now. Very successful this year, especially. They won 3 championships.
I've also seen some Call of Duty pros switch over to Gears and do very well.
And Shotzi, who's also been extremely good this year for the Dallas Empire, also was Halo. And there's a lot of other pros that have Halo backgrounds. Enable, Crim 6, Karma.
That's like a big thing. Like most COD players have a Halo 2 or Halo 3 background.
Yeah, and even Shotzi said he might go back to play Halo Infinite if you know this scene's big and they have a
Halo 5
a competing prize pool.
Yeah, Halo 5. Yeah, that's a big thing with Microsoft. They could probably do it. Halo 5 has a really very good competitive nature wise, like just gameplay and everything. They tried what they could to get like, oh, we want to do esports stuff, but they couldn't. There was nothing they could do to get a lot of these pro gamers back to Halo 5. There was nothing money it wasn't an issue about money. It was why should we come back?
Yeah, especially I guess now with Activision franchising all their leagues now, that's another huge thing. You know, making $50K minimum just to be on a team, not even winnings. You know, on top of that, it's hard to really compete with. But I was just kind of curious of what your thoughts on, especially since they've been playing Halo 5 and Gears 5 for a few years now compared to COD, which is annualized.
I want to say,
and is always different and fresh.
Like the Gears stuff, because if you follow Gears of War on YouTube and you go through your subs, there will be certain times of the year where they'll just be passing nothing but like 15, 20 things about Gears, and it's all the Gears of War championship teams. Like there's like a 2-minute video of each of these guys, where they're from and their teams.
Yeah, I know.
For the Gears championship.
UIU's huge.
They've got some big guys that play it, and I know there are some people who have been. Some of the guys that are playing have been playing since Gears 1. Mm-hmm. So with that, I mean, you have. It's a very good question. Like to worry. Like, how are they going to continue keeping people interested? And that's a question for any game. But Gears specifically. Microsoft will do it right, and the Coalition is going to do something. Yeah.
And they support the games years after, they come out. So
one thing I do want to touch up on is Halo Infinite gameplay. Mm-hmm. Don't read comments and stuff. I will be the first to say, as a Halo fan, and I will consider myself a fanboy, not me included, Halo community is probably some of the most toxic human beings in the world.
Oh.
They are very critical about anything. They're like, oh, the game doesn't look good. It looks like a 360 game. I look at this, I'm like, I don't see it at all. They're very ungrateful at times.
I feel like anything that has a competitive scene is extremely toxic.
And that's the thing. Like some of these
Call of Duty, League of Legends, Pokemon even.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
They're all toxic in their own ways. But
no one will ever pass toxicity of that is the Rainbow Six Siege community.
Oh.
You get that every year. You get number 1 in that one. No, just like a lot of the Halo community tends to be very, well, this isn't a Bungie game.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well don't play it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be kind of similar with the Call of Duty community. Whenever Infinity Ward makes a game, it seems like that's usually ever since maybe MW3, the games have been very lackluster.
Yeah,
and Treyarch has been kind of the only developers that
try something new.
They try, or the players can actually have communication with in order to help the competitive scene grow.
Yeah, it actually feels like Treyarch actually listens to the people, listens to their players, because I will say, if you look at guns that are currently in Modern Warfare that have needed to be nerfed 725 since the beginning of the game, just doesn't seem to get nerfed at all. You look at guns in Black Ops 4 that were nerfed or patched or reworked.
Yeah, it took the release of Warzone to start getting patches for stuff, which was months later.
And even then, these guns had not been patched.
Yeah. But anyway, that's a rant for another time.
Yep.
We've been talking about competitive, just because Xbox does have a huge competitive scene with Gears and Halo, their biggest two shooters on their system. So that was just something that we had to touch up on. But as far as a showcase, I think it was all right. It wasn't. I feel like they could have just shown Halo, and that would have been it. I think people would have been excited about that, and that could have been the showcase in itself. Just like a short little Halo reveal. Maybe they could have done maybe a longer campaign demo, or maybe throw the multiplayer in there. Just do one big Halo reveal.
They could have done
and that'd have been it.
They could have done a 30-second multiplayer clip, and I would have been okay with it.
Like a
teaser.
Teaser, or like a what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for?
Coming soon.
Like a highlight reel or something like that. Just something to kind of really get you excited, because everything else. I mean, it was definitely exciting to see the release, the reveals of certain games,
one thing I'll say about
Grounded
me,
and
I don't know about you, but as we've gotten older and watched these games, we watch these reveals, I've slowly more and more have stopped getting hyped about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because either when you get the game, doesn't satisfy, or there's too much hype. Halo, I'll always be excited about.
Or too many trailers showing off everything.
Yeah. Or just these showcases just haven't really, when I watched PlayStation's event, I was like, this was good. I don't think it was spectacular.
Personally, I think it was better than this one.
I will agree with that.
Because, I mean, obviously you had Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You had Horizon, which are
those are the two big
huge
ones. Yeah.
things, right?
I was really happy.
And then even just the Demon Souls remaster was also a big one for people, because the Souls community is huge.
I'm really worried about that one because it's not being done by From Software. It's being done by a different team, so hopefully they keep that magic alive.
It's Blue Point Studios who does all the remasters for Sony. They did Uncharted and Shadow of the Colossus, so no doubt in my mind is going to be great.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fine. But for me it was just a little lackluster. I think I just wanted to see a little more out of it, and not so much these random did you really need to show Ori and the Will of the Wisp, a game that's already launched in here? Not really. You could have done that in the pre-show, after show.
There's
Same thing with the DLCs announcements. This was the showcase to really get your system hyped, and for me, it really didn't do that.
Yeah. It was better than the last one.
Definitely, they showed first party.
It was better than the last one. I'm excited about. Out of all the games they showed, I'm excited about maybe half of them.
Yeah, so Halo Infinite, State of Decay, Everwild is intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Stalkers, Grounded is intriguing.
Along with Obsidian's other one, Avowed and Psychonauts. Warhammer as well.
Medium.
The Medium looks really good.
And Fable,
yeah,
that's about it. So I mean, they definitely Fable. Fable was also definitely a hype moment, because that that series has kind of been in a limbo for a while.
It has.
So that was also, I think that was a good finisher, obviously, for it. Now that I'm going back, I think it would have been fine to have Halo, State of Decay, those few games that we talked about, and then Fable at the end.
Now, I would have been completely satisfied.
Like, show half.
Yeah, I would have been completely satisfied if Phil Spencer was just on stage talking about new studio acquisitions, because Microsoft and Xbox have said that they are not done purchasing studios to continue expanding the Xbox exclusive library.
Mm-hmm.
The big one right now is Warner Brothers Games that I'm very curious about.
If they acquire Warner Bros., it's definitely a reason for me to get an Xbox.
Now, like I know, like I've mentioned it to some people, and they always like, oh, I don't want Microsoft to get it. I'm like, well, you have other contenders. You have EA, 2K, and Activision as well looking at it. So out of all four of those, would you rather go to Microsoft or those three who will do horrible things to it?
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft could own them. Now, that doesn't mean they get the Batman series. They'd have to license that out. But I think it'd be a win because Rocksteady would become the most experienced...
just Mortal Kombat.
Agreed. But Rocksteady...
That would be huge.
That would be, man. Like, making that exclusive, and some people said they couldn't do that. I'm like, look at Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
It's exclusive to PlayStation and PC.
Yeah, do the same. Yeah, do the same thing. PC and Xbox.
Yeah. Rocksteady would become the biggest their biggest developer they've had, the most experienced too. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It'd be an exciting acquisition.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
The future holds.
But now the other thing I want to touch on is like having all these games talked about. Oh, I guess they could have talked about Forza, obviously, because Forza is huge for them. Even though it doesn't personally interest me, it's still a huge title.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of this has to do with not having E3 and these other showcases? That's why they kind of have to show off these smaller games.
Yeah, because I think that's a big thing. Because Microsoft hasn't done it, but Sony has. Sony has shown off their their timeline of the stuff that they're going to show off. Mm-hmm. And I think the last big thing there is set for the end of September. So Sony's planning on showing off more stuff, and I'm kind of hoping Microsoft goes like, oh, we need to do that too. We're going to start setting up events. Mm-hmm. But what I think the smartest thing for Microsoft to start doing is let the Xbox team start doing Nintendo Direct style stuff. Do like
once a month,
yeah, like
why would you not do like a 30-minute or 20-minute, whatever, 15-minute Halo Infinite Direct?
Yeah, like because when Nintendo announced, oh, by the way, it's a Nintendo Direct this month, people lose their minds. They go like, what are they announcing?
Especially over the last one with well, not the last one, which was Paper Mario, but the one before that, which was the Pokemon MOBA. The one before that, they announced like there will be another reveal that we will talk about next week. People were losing their shit thinking it was going to be Diamond Pearl remakes or whatever it may be, and then they're like, it's a Pokemon MOBA, and people were so pissed. But I mean, one, it was like, why did they just not show it at the first one and get people's hopes up? But it was like, that's a fine thing, like, quick 5, 10, 15 minute.
And Microsoft does have things like that. They have like Major Nelson will do like this, like a wrap up about what's going on. It's like a 20-minute like Xbox showcase for the week, but something really big is announced on there. So, but I do want to touch up on this. I remember reading this. I can't remember if it was Eurogamer or GameSpot, but Microsoft and Nintendo both coming out and pretty much acknowledging they don't consider Sony a competitor for this console generation, which made me go, really? And it looks like they are both. Microsoft's going to do what they have to do to get their fan base strong again. The same thing with Nintendo. Nintendo's going to do their stuff.
Nintendo's already been like that for years. I think ever since like the Wii. Basically, they were like, we don't really see them as competitors. We're all in the same video game industry, but we're not trying to compete. We're just trying to
and I think that's going to be
for our fans.
I think that's what Microsoft wants to do is we're going to provide for our fan base.
Yeah.
And I think once they get that competitive nature out, maybe good things will happen because, man,
I think I think the only thing that kind of contradicts that is the fact that they haven't announced a price point or a release date. Because you think they would be like, oh, well, anyway, here's the price point, here's the release date.
Now, I did hear apparently that they apparently have it set it on a price point and a release date. There's apparently just talking about making sure that they can hit those numbers, like, for launch. So now Sony makes me think they probably have one too, with them saying they're ramping up production by 50%.
Yeah.
Another one that makes me think when Microsoft's having to do stuff is because they officially announced that the Xbox One S digital version and the One X are now being discontinued. Like, they won't be making those anymore, so that might be their way of, like, we're ramping stuff up for the new consoles.
Yeah.
Is that the way
going back to nomenclature, man, they need to change the name of their console names. They're so wordy.
I like the Series
They're so
X.
lengthy.
Yeah.
I know, but like...
But I mean...
They're so lengthy.
I mean, like... So you look at it, like, they couldn't call it the Xbox 2 or the Xbox 3.
What about Xbox X?
I mean, like, that's what I've been calling it. I've just been calling
Yeah.
I've been just calling it the Xbox X. But I mean, you look back, PlayStation did it right, because PlayStation was like, we're gonna call it the PlayStation 1, and there's that. I mean, we're gonna call it the PlayStation and go all from there.
Between Microsoft and Nintendo, it's oof.
Nintendo made sense. The GameCube, it was literally a cube that played
and
games.
the 3DS, 3D, and then screen, and DS was dual screen.
Yeah,
so the Wii and the Wii U never made any sense.
No, and so we would like to play. Congratulations, Miyamoto.
Yeah,
but like, that's really about it. The reason they called it the 360 was because it revolved around your life.
Yeah, and then the Xbox One was the one console to do everything.
You needed. And then...
I mean, they made sense. It was just like... It's so hard for people... the Xbox One, though, the name was just doomed to fail because there was already an original Xbox that people would consider the Xbox One, right?
Even still today, you have people looking for, like, let's say... I need Xbox stuff, or like, you know, and they really don't, like, people, like, when they're like PS4, PS5, Xbox, you have to be like, which Xbox?
Yeah.
360, Xbox One, like, what? Yeah. And I will fully admit that as well.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing more from Microsoft. You know, they've always had stuff that was always very intriguing, and Halo by itself is just so huge. And you know, I think the reason why I'm so excited to see is because of all their acquisitions and to see what new stuff they can put out to try to get more original games on their console, because Xbox One did have a little lackluster first party showing this generation compared to Sony's. I would just really like them to have those huge games that would really drive people to their console again. Yeah. Because I think it would just be so healthy. Because Nintendo has great titles, Sony has great titles, Xbox has good great titles, very historic titles like Halo, Gears, Fable, and Forza. But like it's very limited, and everything that they've tried has never really stuck. Like Rise and all these rare games that they've had. Like
there's a lot of stuff I feel like they need to just like. I love Phil Spencer. I think he's probably one of the best things that Microsoft's had for the Xbox division. He loves video games, but I kind of want him and the Xbox team to take like 3 steps back and take a look at everything going as a whole. Mm-hmm. Because he's even said he wants this new console to be different than Xbox just to be known for Gears, Halo, Forza, Gears, Halo, Forza.
And a good OS.
Yeah, and well, the new Xbox is going to use the same Xbox One OS, and they're going to vamp it.
That's fine, because there was nothing wrong with the Xbox One S.
So,
or the Xbox One, I should say.
So speaking of that, but yeah, Phil Spencer wants to like change it, and I completely agree. Because
that's definitely something that they've had over PlayStation. Is their OS is so quick and smooth. Sony is oof.
Well, the one thing I will say was shocked about was when we finally got the PS5s. Here's all the specs. Here's the Xbox specs. The Xbox is like more powerful because like I think the PS5 is 10 teraflops, is 12 teraflops.
Yeah.
But the one that made me go, wow, was the OS. The Xbox OS only takes up 5 gigs. Where I think they confirmed the PlayStation one takes up 200. So I was like...
Yes, they don't have a very...
Whoa! Like, what... And I think a big thing comes to that is because they're going to continue using the Xbox One OS layouts and it vamp it up from there.
Yeah.
So...
And I think that also just goes with their experience with, Windows OS.
That's what I think the future is for the new, like, the Xbox architecture is going to be very Windows cube and square, like, esque stuff. It's eventually going to be Windows for your Xbox.
Yeah.
So
I'll be cool with that. I mean, that is something I got to give them props for. But yeah, so that will pretty much do it for this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed our discussion about the Xbox Game Showcase. I know we kind of went on a little long at the end there.
But that's every podcast.
But, hey, exactly. We're just discussing our love for games and our hope for the success of Microsoft in the future with this new console. So, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button if you are on YouTube and subscribe to the channel for more TechRichGames videos. And if you're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, don't forget to subscribe to us there and leave us a review. We really appreciate it and help the growth of the podcast and the channel. Also, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us on this episode. Really appreciate your input and your knowledge of the Xbox system. I'm sure we'll probably have you on whenever the Xbox does come out to talk about Halo and all the other exclusives on the console.
Most definitely.
We'll definitely need your input there. So really appreciate your help and thanks for coming over to record. And with no further ado, appreciate everyone listening out there and hope to see you guys next time. Take care. Peace.
Later.